Hey everyone, I am MSK, aka Master Swag King, coming at you guys today with another video. And if you guys are returning viewers or new viewers, then please consider subscribing to the channel if you have not already. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it and comment down below. Also, make sure you guys hit the notification bell. That way you guys can get notified on whenever I upload a brand new video. And in today's video, we are going to be doing a comic book review on DC's Absolute Power hardcover. So, for those of you guys who don't know, Marvel Comics and DC Comics did massive events in 2024. For Marvel Comics, they had Blood Hunt, and for DC Comics, they had Absolute Power. So, both were massive events that spanned multiple issues for multiple different characters, and it also had a lot of tie-in issues as well. And as you guys already know, from what I've been talking about on the MSK shows, if you do happen to watch them live, you can subscribe to my main YouTube channel, which is linked in the description box below if you want to go watch the MSK show episodes live. I was talking about us obviously eventually getting to, do comic book reviews on the Absolute universe for DC Comics. So we recently did comic book reviews on Ultimate Invasion and the Ultimate Universe #1 one-shot. And I was thinking to myself, you know what? It's only kind of fair we do that with, DC as well, going from the big event into the special, into the new universe. Because I was thinking like, damn, we should just do the all-in special. And I was reading online and I was like getting so many conflicting, answers to what to actually go for as far as like a reading order. What I mostly stumbled upon is that you kind of did need to read Absolute Power to kind of see what ended up happening and going forward with the DC All-In special. So I was like, you know what? Since Absolute Power hardcover drops this week at the time of us doing this comic book review on the DC Absolute Power hardcover, might as well just, buy it this week on release day, read it, and then after we get done reviewing this, then we will be reviewing the DC All-In #1 special, very similar to how we did with Marvel Comics' new Ultimate, universe. Then after that, we can review Justice League Unlimited. There's Aquaman by Jeremy Adams currently. There's Absolute Batman, Absolute Superman, Absolute Wonder Woman. Literally, the sky's the limit. But we had to tackle one thing first, which was this big event right here. Now, I will say this, and I normally don't always say these things. What's crazy is that very similar to, I would say, Ultimate Spider-Man, Married with Children Volume 1, that me and Professor Savage Dad already reviewed for you guys on the channel. Go and check that video out. This is an awesome review I did with him. I normally don't say this. Normally, I would say you could just jump into something and just kind of like, go for it. Because most comic books, people kind of overrate jumping in on something. It's mostly like, oh, you have to read all this other stuff before. When in reality, it's not really always a requirement. I would say this. For this, going into the All-In special and going into like Justice League Unlimited or Aquaman, because I know Scott Snyder's been like, no, everything's just a jumping in point. That's very, very disingenuous. And I love Scott Snyder. I do. But to say you wouldn't have to go through this to understand everything is like, you're going to be missing out on a lot about what happened. If you just, because, the point of All-In is supposed to be like, okay, these books are jumping on points. You can just jump in without any prior knowledge. But then they're going to be telling you a story and you're not even going to know where that other part of that story even came from, So I would recommend this, and I did this with the Marvel Comics' Ultimate Universe. I would say read the Ultimate Invasion trade paperback and the Ultimate Universe #1 one-shot so you can get a grasp on how that universe unfolded. Very similar with DC Comics' new Absolute Universe. Go through this first, just this. You don't have to get all the tie-ins and all that other bullshit. Just get this, and then get the All-In special, and then read that. That way you can kind of grasp on where those jumping on points really began. Because after that, you would go to Batman issue 153, Nightwing issue 119, Action Comics issue, 1075 is where that All-In mark comes in. So I'm going to give it to Labs Comic Fan just a moment here, because he has read all the Dark Crisis stuff that led into Dawn of DC, that is now in Absolute Power, that is now leading into All-In. So the floor is yours, man. Go for it.
Yeah. So when they did Dark Crisis, basically it was like an event where Pariah was using the Great Darkness, as they called it, and he was infecting all the different Earths in the DC universe. But at the end, after they had the Justice League had vanquished them, they did this big issue. The Justice League is dead, right? And they were all in these like dream worlds, and they had to get out of them. It was, it was a bunch of bullshit. But they get Pariah out, and there's an epilogue at the end of the last issue, and it's Amanda Waller. She walks into this room, and there's like all these light constructs, and it's like a Council of Reeds situation. So we didn't know who they were, and this is where they set the plan for what was going to happen through All In to Absolute Power. She basically wanted to erase the superheroes, get rid of them, and have one nation under Amanda Waller, basically. And so that led into the DC All In initiative that they did for like 14 months, something like that, 12 months, 14 months. And that led Superman and a House of Brainiac. And the only reason why that's important is because Brainiac was the one that was behind the council of people that Amanda Waller was talking to. And he ended up creating a female, kind of like Bride of Frankenstein, is the Bride of Brainiac. And when Superman and them defeated them, his ship exploded, but she got out of there, right? So that leads into what we're reading here in Absolute Power, where Amanda Waller finally enacts her plan through All In. She had been gathering stuff like making this prison and doing all of this, like building up her task forces. She is up to Task Force 7, even though they had X, which was 10. So who knows? Like, they've just thrown out random letters and numbers at this point. And that's where we go and we get into this. And that's where this starts, is what is going to happen to our heroes when they are faced, because she says they have absolute power. That's where it comes from. They yes. Run on a fake moral upstanding. They're basically like big giant babies, and with babies comes tantrums. So
it's so crazy because she says they have like no morals and they just use their powers to just do whatever. Says the person that literally lied to the public, trying to scare people into hysteria, going insane, that shit wasn't even happening. It's
says the person who uses villains.
But when she does it, it's good. When she does it, it's good. And she's black, so if you like talk bad about her, you're against Black Lives Matter. Oh shit. Good God.
You could take the intro. So that's basically what leads up to this. And there are going to be parts. There are going to be parts in this book where if you read just this, you're going to say, well, how the hell did they get here to here? I wish they would have, there was like 4 or 5 tie-ins that actually did explain things.
Yeah.
I don't remember which issues they were, but I remember what happened. So when we get there, I will explain how they got from A to B.
Yeah. So speaking of intros, you guys know how I intro usually most comic book reviews, right? Being a top G risk master. Now, that's all jokes aside. So what I really would have liked in the book was the tie-in stuff you're talking about. So very similar to what the Marvel Comics' Ultimate Invasion trade paperback, where they left out the Ultimate Universe #1, which is very important because it's kind of like a giant bow on a present you're wrapping,
right?
It
100%.
just feels like a finished, complete product. This will pretty much get you there. It's not the worst thing ever. It's fine. But like you said before, without all of the tie-in issues, the ones that are very, very important, you're going to be getting to parts in the book where it feels like things are going really fast and they're progressing, but you didn't really get that explanation as to why or how they got there. I was reading it and I was going, okay, things are happening. Feels very Michael Bay-ish. A lot of explosions, a lot of battles, a lot of blood, a lot of people just going at it, And hey, if you're a fan of just mindless action without a lot of storytelling there, you're probably going to really enjoy it. For me, myself, I don't think this was a bad read. I might even pick it up once in a while later on down the road after I read more books to reread it and have more fun with it. I would say it's like a Michael Bay movie in this book. That's the best way to explain to people.
It feels like the superheroes got beat down for like 2.5 issues and then it resolved like that.
Yeah.
And that's where the tie-ins showed more how they started picking back up. Because when you're reading it, month to month and week to week in between those months of the singular absolute power 1, 2, 3, 4. There were so many. I mean, there were so many tie-ins that came out every week, and it was just more for me. Like it was more the end of the book because this, like I said, they're just getting beat down and beat down. No hope, no hope, no hope. And then you literally turn the page, and they're like, "Okay, we got a plan. We're going here, and this is this." And you're just like, "Wait a minute, how the fuck? What just happened?"
Oh God! Like that's the thing is DC left out so much crucial material in this specific like hardcover that if they had just taken maybe another month to release it and adding in those really crucial tie-ins,
or even just the pages from them to show like, hey, elsewhere this was happening.
Because they did that early on in the book, remember? They did it with the free comic book day edition.
Right.
They did it with the Absolute Power Ground Zero #1, right? Where they were showing you like, okay, this comes from here, this comes from here. But later on, like, because there's a part in the book, guys, where Batman ends up with a one of those cubes that
mother box,
right? And you're thinking to yourself, well, how did he get there that fast? And how did he get it that fast? Then there's another part where you literally have, I mean, it's the one that most people have talked about. It's the Green Arrow twist, where like earlier on in the book, Batman's calling him to try to get his help because every hero is getting captured. A lot of them are getting like taken down. He's revealing that, hey, I'm on Team Waller now. I'm on Team, Shaniqua. That's what his team is. And then later on in the book, it's revealed that gonna anger a lot of people with that one. Team Shaniqua. Holy crap. Then later on, it's revealed that it was mostly John Jones putting something in his mind to make him fully go into that cause because he had to have that happen to him because he needed to show her that he really believed in her cause.
Because she had a bunch of psychics. That's why.
Yeah, but the problem with that twist and the reason why it just kind of meh, honestly, it's really lackluster, is it feels like an ass pull. It feels like fucking hell, Mark Waid didn't really want to fully commit to have Ollie go the dark route, and betray the Justice League, which is weird because I haven't read the Joshua Williamson Green Arrow run yet, right? But you, as you said, it kind of was tilting that way. It just feels like an ass pull. It doesn't really feel like an actual reveal,
It wasn't like he was going bad. It was more that what he said in the books to Batman or Superman, whoever, that, you guys, I've been telling you for a while. He says it. I've been telling you for a while.
Yeah.
Well, when was that happening? You know what I'm saying? And it was happening in those books because he thought that the Justice League should never have disbanded. And the reason why he had to go out on his own is because they're not in constant communication anymore. They're not, an everyday talking point to each other. And it's like when you don't have that teamwork there, right? Are you going to call every single time that something happens, or are you just going to like do what you have to do in that moment, right? Because it's very odd coming from Superman, Wonder Woman, and especially Batman. You didn't tell us. We're mad at you. And it's like, dude, really? Because Batman, you've done that how many times? I mean, Tower of Babel is literally that, and you left the Justice League. Superman, there's been many times you've left the fucking planet without telling anybody. In War World, like you get, stuff
I'll
like
be honest here. Initially, when I was reading that, because that's in issue 2, it's in issue 2, I think. When that's revealed that Oliver Queen, has betrayed the Justice League, I was like, I initially believed it. I initially went, you know what? Good. It's so weird because it sounds so believable too. Like at one point, one of the heroes in like the Justice League would get kind of fed up with how things are going, and maybe a mission goes wrong, and he blames the other teammates, and they don't resolve an issue, and it just gets kind of weird. Because for those of us who don't know, just the actual like Justice League book that DC Comics usually have had running for a very, very long time, they hadn't had one. So Dawn of DC was I guess like one of the first initiatives ever to not run a Justice League book. Like even the New 52 had a Justice League book. From what I remember, Rebirth had a Justice League book, and even had a Trinity comic book that they were running at the time.
They definitely had the Justice League book for sure. And then I have a bunch of those.
Around after the Dark Crisis event, the Justice League just chose to disband, like you mentioned earlier, and then the Teen Titans were the quote unquote Justice League. They had this event, Beast World, and all that other stuff. But you can't replace the Justice League. You can't.
No.
You know, it just felt like, I don't know. It feels like a heart is just not there when the Justice League isn't there. It'd be like now Marvel running a comic book without the Avengers as an ongoing series. You know, it just feels like it has to be there now. You know,
and they did that. You could see it happening through Dark Crisis, right? Because it was one of those things where
tensions were building.
What was happening on Earth, like Dick Grayson took care of, right? So their thought was, oh, these younger guys need to, you know, they could take the place of us. We're in good hands. And it's like, no, dude, no. It went to shit. And you guys had to come back from the dead, you know, and fucking save the day. So no, like it's gonna be a hard set. Like Dick Grayson is always gonna be loved. Okay, he's always gonna be loved as a DC character. But John Kent and like Starfire and Beast Boy, they are not going to be taken as seriously as Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. You know, they're never. It's never going to happen.
Yeah, that Teen Titans group, or as comic book has name now,
as they are
Titans,
there. Yeah,
it's like you have the Beast Boy, Raven, Starfire group, and everyone knows that group from the animated show. It's been the crazy thing that animated show has warped everyone's perception of Teen Titans to the point where that's the only Titan group you can have, and they work for the book, kinda, right? You don't really get a lot of Raven. You don't get a lot of Beast Boy. Starfire is just a nobody, essentially. It's really just like the Nightwing show. Is if you were trying to build up the Titans as this new Justice League, then I feel like in your big event book, like Absolute Power, all of them should have moments to shine. I shit you not, guys. Only Nightwing shines. All the Teen Titans characters you love and enjoy, Raven, Cyborg, Beast Boy, Starfire, nothing. They get absolutely nothing. I think one of the did they have a speedster on their team? Was it Roy?
they had
Wally West, right? No.
Yeah, no, they had Wally, but it was they have two Wallies. So there was the red-haired Wally, and then there was the black kid Wally.
Oh, even their Wonder Woman, who's Wonder Girl, who's literally just a carbon copy of Wonder Woman.
Donna Troy, yeah.
She doesn't really do anything in the book.
Do anything.
Nothing. Yeah. Oh, God. That was
so it's like if you're not even gonna push them as the team that's, you know, there always has to be a team in comic books because people like reading those things. Yeah. And when the Titans, they don't have the villains to, you know, come in. If once you know, you use Slade Wilson, once that's it, who do you really, you know what I'm saying? Like, who is gonna come out and really try to do something that, like, do you really think that the Titans are gonna go up against Darkseid?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? So there's really nothing that you buy as, oh, this is a big giant threat. You know what I mean?
It's one of those things where DC Comics going into like Dawn of DC was trying to basically convince people that the Titans are your new Justice League. They're replaced now. This is your permanent like group team that you should be following. When in reality,
they did do it.
They did do it. Yeah, and then they realized the fans were like, no, we like the Titans. But when you think of DC, you're thinking Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Justice
Green
League,
Lantern.
Green Lantern. Yeah. Titans are like, wait, like, guys, when people have Titans in their conversation, it's like after you've discussed why Batman shouldn't kill for like 5 hours, that eventually you're going to get into some Titan conversation. You know, I've been in these conversations for a while. Like, Titans they're respected. People like the Teen Titans. They do. It's just like, you see them as a children's Justice League compared to the adult, you know? And there's some cool stories you can make out of that. I mean, they have in the past.
And there is some really good Teen Titans runs. There's some really good ones.
Speaking of one releasing this week, Judas Contract, my favorite one, actually.
Right. There's a lot of people love that. There's some really good stuff in there, but it doesn't have the prestige as the characters that you want to read. You know, and that's where, you know, I see people get real pissed when they say like Miles Morales is Miles Morales and all this stuff. But that's the thing, guys. Like, he's a Spider-Man, but he's not Spider-Man. Like, I mean, I'm sorry. Like, when people want to read Spider-Man, they want to read Peter Parker. And that's the same thing when it comes to people want to read the big team from DC. They want to read Bruce Wayne, Clark Kent. You know, they want to read those characters. That's the sales shows it. That's all you got to do. You could argue all you want. till you're blue in the face.
No
but
one
the
buys
sales, no
Miles
one
Morales
buys it.
comic books. You
No.
know that. Miles Morales
Right.
comic books, I have no clue why Marvel keeps printing Miles Morales comic books. They don't sell. You can look literally on ICV2 charts and get it at stores, buying the units, whatever. They don't buy Miles Morales books. Marvel just prints Miles Morales books because they actually legitimately think in their disgusting, depraved brains that he's actually a character people like. Besides
they
him
do
only
because of
being
the
liked from
movies.
Marvel. Yeah, literally
the
just the
movies
animated
that he
movies
did,
and the
yeah.
Insomniac games. Only reason why he's even liked. Literally just those.
And there's like, when Marvel was doing that, Miles Morales as Wolverine, Miles Morales as this, they tried every character, and
Remember the
none
What
of
If
them
Miles
stuck.
Morales?
None of them stuck.
Remember the one with fucking they went real crazy. It was What If Miles Morales had like Thor's hammer or whatever. He was talking ghetto.
They tried to do like to see what would stick. See what medium. Oh, okay. So this one sticks. We'll have him interact with nothing stuck. Nothing did it. And they wasted like 26 issues on it. And then they were like, fuck it. You know.
So I want you to explain failsafe. Because a lot of people are gonna go, who the fuck is that?
All right. So when Chip Zdarsky took over Batman, he started this thing where if Batman had gone too bad, like, or killed, right? That he created this thing called failsafe. And what happened was he was going up against the Penguin, right? And the Penguin had tricked people into believing that Batman had killed him, right? He took this like pill and it made it look like he was dead, and all the stuff. He was in a hospital, and that triggered failsafe. Failsafe comes down, and Batman goes into his ridiculous Zur-En-Arrh thing that's like in the back of his mind when Batman needs to be able to be Batman, but with no boundaries. He's Batman of Zur-En-Arrh. And it's this freaking stupid thing right here. This freaking stupid ass Batman, right? So this Batman actually came from the Silver Age. He was actually from the planet Zur-En-Arrh. And when Batman used to go in, the 50s and stuff, he would go all over the place. He would be on different planets. That was a Batman. So I think Grant Morrison did something with Zur-En-Arrh. I cannot remember. I know I had just read some of that, but I can't remember exactly what it was. But in Chip Zdarsky's, it was Batman with no limitations. He's the Batman that will go and break your back. He'll, do anything that he needs to get done. So Batman started going into that mind frame to fight this failsafe, which was like supposed to be this indestructible robot, but with all the counterintuitiveness to defeat Batman. So that's what that was.
So we're going to have to start going through the book itself because there's a lot here. Let's just put it that way. I will say this before we go into the actual book, as you guys usually know, we should go through the pages and talk about the story. We actually really dissected, like I was dissecting my wife's vagina last night when I was blowing her back out. Dan Morris' art is just absolutely amazing, man.
Yeah,
Can this guy, incredible. Good Lord, if you guys buy the hardcover, I'll just give you guys a lowdown. Dust jacket. This is your back and forth right there. Dust jacket looks great. The back of it, look at that back. Oh, looks great. It's awesome.
The colors really pop on this.
They do.
Book. It really does.
Oh God! And I'm so glad they didn't zero in on Nightwing's ass in the book. That would have just been extremely gay, actually.
I like the big Amanda Waller on the back.
No one likes that. Why are you lying? Why are you lying? This man just lied to me.
I've been waiting for her Playboy spread for so long.
That's crazy. No one wants Shaniqua-ness on their comic books. I'm telling you that right now. Okay, so there is some very good elements in this book, despite this being basically DC Michael Bay. That's the nickname I'm giving this book at this point. Just it's DC Michael Bay Transformers. That's what I should give it. Okay, so start with the first part of the book at the free comic book day edition, because someone said the free comic book day edition wasn't here. That's how I know a lot of you don't read the book or you have it or own it. Literally, if you pirated this, it would be there. Like, you can't be that lazy. It starts off with the Absolute Power free comic book day special, which is cover art by Dan Mora, obviously looking as great as ever right there with failsafe. So basically, the free comic book day special and Absolute Power Ground Zero is the initial full setup of where the event will go. So Amanda Waller is having, okay, so how would I say this? It's a lot. Okay, let's start it here. Amanda Waller, as you've said, from everything that has happened, has basically officially built up everything she needed. But she needs a few more pieces, actually. So the book does a very, very good job of establishing Amanda Waller as this very scary person who's always 2 steps ahead of everyone.
Very calculated.
Yep. So later on in the book, there's this character named Dreamer who is conflicted with obviously helping Amanda Waller. She'll play into the story a lot later. Amanda Waller, earlier on in the book, like in the first 4 pages, is showing you how much of a piece of shit, disgusting human being she is. She convinces a character to use his powers to help her with something. She knew what was the character was going to use their powers on was unstable, and the character ended up exploding. I'm not kidding.
So she needs an electric user, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's already crossed off a bunch of names. So she puts the guy into this chamber, failsafe, enacts the thing. He's like, I want you to use all your electricity on this. I want you to destroy this, and just keep going, keep going. And even in the book, he's like, something's wrong. Something's messed up. And they're like, keep going. You're good. And he's like, his skin is shriveling off. And then poof, he just explodes into a pile of blood. And she's just like, we still need this piece of the puzzle. So get the next one.
Yeah. Like, and right there at the beginning part of the book, it shows you just how much she has a disregard just for life in general, but heroes or
hero life
or metahumans in general. Then after that, you have her obviously, coercing the character known as Dreamer to do more things for her. And that, like I said earlier, it's going to play in at some point. So Dreamer is very, very conflicted with helping her throughout the book, but her real main thing she does to get back at Amanda Waller felt pretty satisfying when you actually got to the end of the book, actually. So she wants Dreamer to show her the future of what she wants to see. And this is what Amanda Waller wants. She wants them enslaved.
So what is she saying? Like, I want you to show me the future, period. She's like, because Dreamer can see, she can do dream walking, which has like been established in DC for a while. Like basically like Marvel's Nightmare, how he can go into dreams and that's where he's most powerful. Same thing with Dreamer. She can go into people's dreams, but she can also see the future. She's a precognitive or whatever. And she's telling Amanda Waller, I can't see anything right now. I can't see anything, because she doesn't want to tell her that her plan will work. Because the plan that she has, Dreamer sees it in that picture that he just showed you. That is what is going to happen if Amanda Waller succeeds. It
reminds me of like Dragon Ball Z in the Trunks saga or the Android saga, where things did play out, but they just played out way differently. Like her plan did work. And like when Dreamer saw it, the plan works. You know what's crazy? Yeah, DC. Why is it Mr. Terrific not a slave to Amanda Waller? Why is only the white male heroes slaves to Amanda Waller?
Hey, isn't Wonder Woman there?
Okay, so Amanda Waller sees. Well, Dreamer doesn't tell her.
Got it. Tell her.
Good Lord, man. DC, make Mr. Terrific a slave. I'm kidding. I'm joking. So, like you said, Dreamer doesn't tell Amanda Waller that her plan works. Then you get into ground zero. So basically, you have Failsafe getting set up to fight the DC heroes, not the Justice League, till literally the end of the book, honestly. Then you have Dreamer basically going after one of her friends. She ends up getting him captured.
That's actually John Kent's boyfriend.
Yes, they killed him off. And if you guys remember, John Kent was putting his tongue down dudes' throats. Not kidding, and they ended up killing off John Kent's boyfriend. You know what? Women are better.
Did they kill him off? When did they kill him off? In this book?
I had to envision it, man. I envisioned it in my head they were going to do it.
No, they didn't. At least not in this book, they didn't. Because they, if you remember, at the end, Superman's like, "Don't worry, John. We found." I can't remember his name.
I was joking. I can only imagine they didn't. They didn't kill off the gay guy.
What did happen in one of the tie-ins? They killed the shit out of his mom. They totally killed the shit out of his mom, and that's what led him to
He
be
does say
running
that
in this
though.
book.
He does say that Dreamer led freaking Amanda Waller's forces to kill his mom. But yeah, John Kent's gay boyfriend is captured, and it's crazy. Later
His
on in the
name's
book,
Jay. That's what it is. His name's
he's
Jay.
never referenced ever in the book. He just has
Ever
that
again.
appearance, and he's just thrown away. Huh. So then you're gonna have to go to this part. So next, the next character that's up in absolute power, number 1, Ground Zero, is the character named Star, because he can essentially turn back time to the point where something would happen, right?
So
that'll be this part.
Which part? Okay, hold on.
Stage 2. So she needs John Star to utilize his hourglass.
So basically what they're doing with the hourglass is they need him to be able to use that hourglass so it can turn back time or turn forward time. He uses time, right? So what they want to do is they want to put those in the Amazos and fail safe. So anytime that they get hurt, that hourglass enacts to the time right before they got hurt. So they will be indestructible. So no matter what happens, what you do to them, it automatically goes right back to them being complete and whole, and they still have their memory intact.
So that would be a contingency plan that she would always have. So basically, her minions could never really actually ever lose. It's a pretty good plan overall.
That is an actually pretty. That's a pretty cool use of a character who's not used a lot.
Yeah,
it's a pretty cool use of his powers.
And you know, I like when characters get used like that, like characters that you don't give a fuck for having a purpose in a book where a villain's like, you know what, there's some use for you there. Stage 3 is the Brainiac Queen comes in. So the Brainiac Queen ship, lands, and then Amanda Waller finds it, and she ends up tampering with its brain to the point where she tries to convinces it that superheroes are deadly, that they're coming after it and whatever, to kind of basically bend the Brainiac's Queen will towards her, and only convincing the Brainiac Queen that the DC heroes are bad. Like, heroes are bad, I'm your mother. And it's like,
she uses like a virtual reality simulation of like 20 years or so. And
she
raises her.
Talk, actually.
Raises her from the
basically
small
a kid.
being. Up until what she is now, and it's totally reliant on Amanda Waller. Will do anything that she says.
Yep.
So you have basically a Brainiac, something with the power of Brainiac and the computing speed of Brainiac, totally reliant on you, the person who is enacting said plan. So pretty wild, man.
Just from the first issues of the hardcover, you get all this pretty decent setup with Amanda Waller showing her how deadly she is and the way she just doesn't give a fuck and disregard everyone around her. She only just cares about herself, if we're being honest. Right. She just only cares about killing off the DC heroes and just her having absolute control. I just gave DC their next big event, absolute control.
It'll be a crisis of absolute control.
Wow. Now the stage is set. And now we get into the actual absolute power number 1. This art by Dan Moore is just
beautiful,
so
man.
Good Lord,
beautiful.
Man. So then later on in the book, it firmly establishes, and this issue, where we're going to go. So Superman, like usual, do-gooder, tries to apprehend some villains. They end up shooting him, but then he ends up going down. He's not healing anymore. So he's already out. So that's already done. And then it just goes chapter 1 powerless. Like, they already set the stage. Like, Superman's already out. It's done. So then characters known as Animal Man and Animal Girl come down to Earth come back to their city after doing something or whatever.
So they have no idea that any of this has been going on.
Oh, God. Might be the most brutal thing in the book. First off, gets a rock thrown at his head, and then all the humans just start attacking them.
They just beat his ass.
Good Lord. To the point where he has to be put in the hospital because he gets beaten by like 5 different people, actually. And later on, Batman and Robin are kind of going over like, hey, what is going on with the city? Batman is opening the channels and trying to figure out, okay, why is everyone seeing this right now currently? And then
so they're showing like stuff that is not, they're showing things that have happened, but they're also showing things that haven't happened.
Yeah. That's how
Amanda Waller, Amanda Waller's using like AI disinformation to poison the the citizens against the heroes, right? And the
Yeah,
funny part about it is this: if it's fake, right?
hmm
How come none of the people in the actual cities that it took place were like, "Hey, that didn't happen on my street. Nothing
So
happened today."
I will be fair, man. Average people are really dumb.
I mean,
Like,
they are.
they literally will get flipped. They will start flipping out over anything. If you want to cause hysteria in people, look no further than that certain virus that came out in 2020. But
Well, yeah, that's what it definitely was an allegory for what could possibly be happening with a disinformation
if people
campaign.
were literally that stupid, like people are dumb, dude. They're actually not smart. Like I was under this belief that the average person is not that. They're not that dumb. No, the average person is stupid. Like they'll literally believe anything told to them, not fact check it. And I feel like this plan that Amanda Waller had at this moment was what reminded me of what Sinestro was doing back in the Green Lantern Back in Action Volume 1, where he was trying to cause hysteria and fear in that city. But that was to like empower him so he can get back to being the Yellow Lantern. This was actually on a much more bigger scale. Like basically what you said is true. She was showing people fake destruction being caused by superheroes that wasn't real happening and
against civilians.
Yeah, and we know that wasn't happening was because all the superheroes, Mr. Terrific, Nightwing, Flash, Hawkman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman were like, no, we weren't there. We were not doing that currently. So she's just showing the entirety of the United States that, hey, all these superheroes right now are causing all this destruction and hurting people and everything. Then it flashes back to earlier in the day where Clark is talking to Lois, and then Lois actually had a pretty good line here. She doesn't talk much in the book, but this is a great line where she literally says, they report first, then verify. The planet does not and will not run unverified and speculative content. Is that understood?
Right.
Yeah, she doesn't want to run the first story just to run it because she knows her obviously her boyfriend's a superhero.
Right.
You know, she would not be doing that.
Right. And like she's actually using her brain. Like
really?
maybe some
Women
of the
use
other
their brains?
maybe some of the other heroes you might be able to believe some of them that walk the line, but like they showed Supergirl doing some bad, like, come on now, like you would have to think that like either she's being controlled or something, right?
Yeah.
Superman has enough, in the super family has enough goodwill built up to where those people should be like, what is happening? This doesn't look right to me, at least in Metropolis. And I'm surprised. I'm very surprised that DC and Wade were cognizant enough to not use Lex Luthor at all.
Could you imagine a world Lex Luthor teams up with Amanda Waller here? That would be that's too much cinema. My brain couldn't handle it, honestly.
Well, you remember in the one, what was it, the one DC animated movie where he like started making out with her and she's like, what the hell are you doing?
Like, why would he make out with that ape? Whatever. So so you know what's crazy? In just this moment where all that destruction was happening, she's monologuing to herself, and later on, as the plan is going over, she's seeing all of it unfold in front of her. You know, she's getting super fucking wet, seeing all the superheroes just go through all that pain and destruction. And then she ends up talking to this other character named Sarge Steele. They're going over the next phase of their plan involving the Brainiac Queen. And then Failsafe is also talking to her about what else is about to happen. Then you have just basically everything going in disarray. This whole first issue is everything just falling apart. Cyborg at Titan's Tower is inactive. He gets taken out. Oracle's trying to figure out what's going on. Batman and Robin are flying over Gotham City, you know, trying to phone in people. Hey, if you're around, we need you. What's going on? Nightwing, he even said, hey, this is Amanda Waller's doing. Probably has some earlier insight on that when it comes to
the Beast World had it from there. And I think he felt when he went on that, like, that, you know how like each character, like in the Batman family, like Damian Wayne went through it when they each go on their patronage off and they have the backpack and they're walking, and you know, I think he thought then, you know, something's going to happen with Amanda Waller. The Beast World didn't just happen for no reason.
Yeah, he even says she's been trying to discredit us for a while.
Right. And that's, you know, what happened with it's happened with Beast Boy, you know, and I still am mad at them for Dark Crisis when, you know, Deathstroke literally walked right up to Beast Boy, stuck a gun right to his head, pulled the trigger, and he lived. I was so pissed. Whenever it happened, I was like, they did it. They killed him. Oh my God. Thank God they killed him. And then no, it just, God damn it.
So
fucking Beast Boy.
we have more destruction and chaos going on. Blue Beetle, Booster Gold, Elongated Man, Red Tornado, Natasha Irons, all getting taken out. You had Superboy and John Kent. They see their dad, obviously from the first part of the issue, go down. Mr. Terrific phoning people in. Then obviously John Kent and what's his name? Yeah, Superboy and John Kent catch Superman. They try to figure out what's going on, but then they get shot down. Just all sorts of action and mayhem, and just literally imagine Michael Bay doing a superhero movie. That would be this book.
They're all like, he's talking. John Kent's talking to Superman. He's like, "Hey, my dad got shot. He doesn't have his super." And when he says superpowers, all of a sudden, John Kent doesn't have his. So something is taking their superpowers.
And then Oracle says the deep fake footage is stopped because Amanda Waller takes over the comms, and she says that, hey, I'm Amanda Waller. I'm here to help. All the superheroes are right here, just looking in awe of what the hell's going on. And, she's basically telling the world, I will take them out for you.
Yeah.
And
Batman's pretty much like, this is weird because Amanda Waller would not put herself out there unless she thinks she's already won.
Yeah, he realized, it's crazy. Batman usually never does this, but he realizes that even he was duped by her. That's crazy. Her plan was so well thought out that not even Batman figured out what was going on in her plan. Then the other beings come through. So these other beings she was working on, which you have these robots that'll be here throughout the book. They're here to now steal the powers of all the superheroes. They're called Amazos.
Amazos. Amazos. So Batman has fought Amazos, and like the Justice League has. So basically, what would happen is, like, say, Superman shot his eye beams at him, right?
Yeah.
The Amazo could absorb it and then duplicate it. But these ones are retrofitted now to where they could just steal the powers, period.
Yeah, they're not going to go back. Yep.
They're not going to, even if you destroy that Amazo, it's not going to release its power.
So right when Batman figures out that he's been duped by Amanda Waller, because essentially her plan was not to just take them all out. She wanted to take them all out and get them in a certain area so the Amazos could steal their powers permanently.
Yes.
So the Amazos...
She got them to go out in public, and then so when they did, all the Amazos started taking powers.
So then you get the big reveal of the book where, Batman's trying to communicate with Oliver, who's obviously Green Arrow. He says he's on the right side of history. Sounds like something a certain side of the political aisle would generally say, but to be fair, Green Arrow's kind of always been mostly a liberal. At least that's consistent, obviously. He is working for Amanda Waller, and he's confirmed on her side as of right now, which is that, I'll be honest here, I believed it at first. I was duped. You had me there.
Right. And like I said, if you would have been reading the stuff that he had been doing throughout Dawn of DC, like, you could possibly believe it. It's not that he would, like I said, it's not that he was turning bad. He had just made a couple of speeches where he was talking about the Justice League and them not being there. And it's like, regular people have regular problems, as well as the problems that a lot of you guys bring here. They see the supervillains from off-world see Earth as a place to conquer. And the one side of it is, well, if we weren't here, they wouldn't conquer it. Well, if you weren't here, they wouldn't see it as a place that needs conquered because it would just be a bunch of little mice.
It's like touche.
Right. It's the two-sided coin. You could argue this forever. What came first, the chicken or the egg? So, and
the egg?
I think it did it.
Oh no, he's doing it. No,
I'm gonna say the ass that it came out of came first.
All right. So
Probably Amanda Waller's.
John Kent, hers would be hairy and disgusting. So, John's, well, John Jones, I wish Martian Manhunter had a little bit more to do in the story. You know he's here, but it's like, literally outside of the DC cartoons, the Justice League animated series and Jalen Unlimited, he doesn't really ever get anything to do. He's just kind of just there.
And just think, they're making an absolute Martian Manhunt. Why? Why? He's not even in your big event that sets up the absolute universe.
Yeah, he's in like a few panels, and he's a throwaway. He has a throwaway.
He's a MacGuffin
toward the end. Yeah,
he's a MacGuffin for the end.
Hey, I like chocolate chip muffins. See, I almost did it there.
I'm not gonna argue with you about that one.
So, as you guys know from the way issue 1 ends, John Kent ends up being captured, and the Brainiac Queen ends up taking him over, which is going to be another big plot point where Amanda Waller is trying to use him to flesh out more of the heroes.
And there was a lot more in the tie-ins.
Yeah,
about that. They showed him suffer, man. That
really,
oh my god,
it really feels like she really put him through the ringer to make sure he
all the stuff in him, all the things in him. I mean, like, dude, they pumped him full of like crazy images and like just a bunch of crack. That was there.
So this was probably one of the biggest wholesome moments, I guess you could say, of the hardcover, where they're in the Fortress of Solitude. Superman's recovering with the the classic black suit, and as he came back in the Death of Superman, they're trying to figure out what's their next plan of action. Who's going to lead us? Who's going to lead the team? Because they haven't been a Justice League or a group of them for a while, and it gets kind of the point where Mr. Terrific and Batman start arguing, and Wonder Woman was like, "No, we need to stop arguing." And Nightwing's like, "You know what? I'm going to lead the team." Gives this big giant speech. Batman's proud of his son. And Nightwing is the leader of this group of superheroes. I thought it was a nice, cool moment for the character. It's so weird how they don't want Batman being the leader of a group of DC heroes.
Well, I think the reason why, and I think this is because everything that led up to like Dark Crisis and stuff, and they were really hitting on Tower of Babel, like, you've lied to the team. You've had contingencies.
Tower of Babel
stuff
in here.
You've done these things like Superman. You're not really a planner. You're more of the punch the problem away guy. Mr. Terrific's like, well, I lead the JSA, and they're like, yeah, but that's not.
I would say, does he lead the JSA? Does he? It's weird. I don't think anyone really leads the JSA. I think they just are.
He does. He's the guy who makes all the plans and like stays in the the round room or whatever you want to call it, tells them what, hey, go here, go there. If anybody should have led the thing, which is fine that Nightwing did, that was cool. Like you said, that's where you have Martian Manhunter come in, and since he can telepath with everybody, that's where you have him come in and say, I will be the person that enacts the plan that Nightwing leads out. That could have given him something to do in the book.
What's crazy is the fact that they have Martian Manhunter in the book, but they give this character named Airwave much more heart and much more to do, and even gets the big moment at the end of the book. That was the biggest problem with the book, is that there's so many of these other really great known heroes that get no shine, no actual character development, nothing. They're just there, that exist, and they end up just all in this war. And that they're in this war fighting, but they get no time and attention either. It's just so odd.
I believe there's a reason why they did Airwave, and I can't remember. Is he the one? Did you read the Justice League Unlimited #1?
Read? You think I read?
Did you look at it?
I skimmed its story synopsis on Wikipedia. No, I actually bought it. I haven't read it yet. I was waiting to read this first.
So I can't remember if he is. There's someone that joined the Justice League that is like turning on them, and I don't think that it's him. But here's the problem, and I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. There's a lot of bigger characters that get no shine, but we also do complain about them not establishing new heroes, right? Now, I'm not saying that this one needed to be established because his power is kind of stupid, okay? But you're right. They should have used Martian Manhunter for this. But
so many other characters they could have used. My God.
Right.
So At that point, Mr. Terrific has a conversation with Airwave. John Kent comes in, all fully under the control of the Brainiac Queen. They obviously, try to escape. But the biggest thing after they escape the Amazos and the Brainiac Queen was the character of Dreamer, where after they go into that teleporter, so they use this teleporter to get to this portal, to go somewhere else. Dreamer essentially dies. It's so that's the weirdest part.
So what happens is John Kent comes down and Superman's all like, "Oh my boy, you can fight it. You can get out." So when they realize that there's no way out of here, that's when Superman enacts the self-destruct sequence for the Fortress of Solitude.
Yep.
So at that point in time, Dreamer, who is friends with John Kent, is very good friends with John Kent, sees him all brainiacked out, and she's like, that's it. She's like, they've hit on her through the tie-ins, right? They would have her doing all these missions for Amanda Waller, and the reason why she was doing all these missions is because Amanda Waller has her family and says, "I will kill your family if you do not do this for me." Well, she finally comes.
She loves the blackmail.
She finally comes. Finally comes to the realization of like, if my family found out what I was doing to keep them from getting killed, they probably wouldn't want anything to do with me anyway. So I'm done being Amanda Waller's puppet. I'm done this, blah, blah, blah. So whenever the Fortress of Solitude explodes, she's still in there. So she basically dies. She does die.
Yeah.
That happens. She dies.
So after that, you get to the point where, Oliver, is trying to look at more stuff for her, and Amanda Waller thinks she's mostly won at this point. And Amanda Waller says, don't tell. Oh, no, I forgot one of the characters. Was Amanda Waller or the other guy says, don't tell Oliver about the casualty of Dreamer. Didn't really know.
Yeah, it's the other dude. What is it? Sarge Steele.
Yeah, it's so weird because why would Oliver care about Dreamer? They never even had one interaction in the book.
It's like there was a couple of missions where in the tie-ins where they led a couple of missions where a couple of people died, and he got pissed because he's like, I thought the whole point of this was to keep people alive, and you're saying that you're trying to take justice to an unjust world, and you're doing just the same thing, getting people killed. So like he would be pissed and throw a fit, and they just didn't want to deal with him throwing a fit. That was basically it.
Yeah, that would make sense because he does value human life very, very much. And you have this moment where Hawk Girl in the book is trying to figure out what's going on, at least in the third issue, because that was just all the second issue, guys. The third issue of the hardcover, which is like Last Stand, where she's talking more to Failsafe. It's so odd because Hawk Girl gets captured. You don't ever see her again. It's just so weird having all these cameos for great characters.
Yeah,
but they just get taken over, and they get captured, and you just don't see them ever. Actually. Yeah. So then later on, some of the DC superheroes end up in Themyscira because their island is cloaked in magic, so it'd be very hard for John Kent to find them because John Kent is used by the Brainiac Queen to track them down.
Right.
One of the Themyscirian leaders is like, "Hey, we could just shoot him with a kryptonite bullet." He's like, Diamond's like, "No, we don't do that. That's not what we do."
No, that was Big Barda. That was Big Barda. Oh, yeah, she's the Miracle Man's wife. So she's like, she used to be a Fury for Darkseid.
Yeah. Granny Goodness, Big Barda. Holy crap! Those guys.
At one point, the Flash had used a shard of kryptonite to get John Kent off of Superman because he was turning him. So they were like, "Hey, do you still have that shard of kryptonite? We could just, kill him." And Barda gets into this big argument with Nightwing, where Nightwing is still like, "Hey, we are not gonna kill him. He's being manipulated and used." And she makes a great point. It's like he's a Kryptonian. He could kill us just by basically looking at us. At some point in time, we're gonna have to defend ourselves. And Nightwing is just like Batman, where it's like we can always figure out a way to win this without having to kill people.
And that it's so weird because Mark Waid's an absolute lunatic, but he can write he claimed he can't write good superheroes anymore despite Donald Trump becoming president, but yet he wrote good superheroes throughout the book who were willingly, literally right there about to die for their ally. That man is mental. Mark, you are mentally deranged, but nevertheless, they do devise a plan to stop the Amazos. So Flash ends up stopping the Amazos to the point where he's trying to figure out where is Amanda Waller's secret base. Then Failsafe gets wind of that, and then later on, weirdly, Bizarro comes out.
Right. Well, so someone's talking to Flash and tells him where the base is, and he doesn't know who it is. We find out later that it's Oliver, and they come up with an idea that if that John Kent and the rest of them find Themyscira, that Themyscira is wrapped in magic and it will take them down before they get a chance to do anything, because they are not invited guests. Like they haven't been allowed to touch ground there. So yeah, Batman,
and they did set it up. Yeah, I also didn't notice that there was Arrow. That was the mystery man that gave him the tip that Waller's base was there. You know.
Yes. Yep. So it was he definitely tied, like there was really no like loose ends in the actuality of the story contained. It was more like things that will happen here coming up that, like I said, they just tell you happen without showing you.
Yeah, like so a lot of the heroes are scattered doing stuff, and then somehow the Amanda Waller minions find them and start murking them, and then more Amazos start coming up, despite the Flash already breaking the link kind of with them.
So what happened is they used Red Tornado. Since Red Tornado is still, a machine, they were able to reach out and find his machineness or whatever, and that's how they knew that they were on Themyscira.
After that, later on, they do get in position to fight John Kent, because John Kent later on does find Themyscira, and they do try to take him down. And at one point, Big Bird is like, "I'm going to take the shot." And Nightwing throws his baton at her to stop her, to make sure she doesn't do it. And Batman comes out with a mother box. And then you're just like, because to be fair, Nightwing did say everyone has their missions, right? But in the tie-in issues, they would probably go over like, what was their actual missions? Yeah.
Well, he said what their missions were. They just didn't show it. They just didn't show them do it. Mm-hmm. And that's if you don't remember like that off thing where Nightwing was making his big speech and he says, you're going to go here, you're going to go here, you're going to go here. All of a sudden, Batman's there, and then he's not. And then all of a sudden, he's on Themyscira. And it's like, did they tell, like, the Amazons, hey, Batman's going to show up in the nick of time, so when he touches the ground, don't magic him, because he's with us. You know what I mean? Like, so there's, like, those things that they didn't go. But, yes, in the tie-ins, Batman goes and takes the mother box from Amanda Waller's stash of crap.
And correct me if I'm wrong, the mother box is used to absorb the Brainiac Queen into it and seal her. Right?
That's so. I guess that's what it is. Like,
I guess that's what happened. Yeah.
I can't remember exactly because I'm trying to look at it now.
Yeah, it was right here when they were fighting on Themyscira.
Yes.
And Batman came back with a mother box.
Yes, he uses it and he sucks her into it. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's what a lot of girls are good at. They can't make any money.
And one thing I want to bring up, when you were talking about Bizarro, one of the cool throwbacks that they did was the flower that they put on Bizarro was the same flower from a very famous Superman issue for the man who has everything. Basically, Wonder Woman and Batman it's Superman's birthday, and they go to give him a present, and he's just standing there like this, and he's got this thing on his chest, right? And in his mind, he's actually living on Krypton, and he has a kid, and he's like living out his best life, but he realizes that it's not real. So
Yeah.
that plant, it like messes with your mind and like lets you live out a fantasy, or it can let you live out a nightmare. And it actually came from Mongol. So that's kind of cool that Superman still had that in the Fortress of Solitude, and they brought that with them. Because you remember they had all the weapons and stuff that they
Yeah.
used. That was kind of neat. That's a cool throwback. I thought that was pretty awesome.
After Brainiac Queen is absorbed, well, the influence on John Kent is over. John Kent is saved with, Zatanna, Nightwing, and all of them there. And Flash ends up heading to the Waller's Supermax sub-basement, and the actual plan is revealed to the point where it starts getting to be a lot bigger in issue 4. So her other alternative big plan was she wants to open a portal to the multiverse to have all of these Amazos come out and take everyone's power. She wants absolute dominant control.
But she had like a bunch of different things too, like a bunch of different crazy people coming through. She had like a whole army.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like
you can tell at this point now in the story, she's losing her control. She's failsafe didn't work the way she wanted. Brainiac Queen is absorbed. Flash now knows where the base is, and then she slaps Oliver. Black on white crimes. Can't expect no different from black women, because they love their white men. I love white women too. The heroes are in the secret cave because they are trying to obviously infiltrate Amanda Waller's base because they know where it's at now. And then they have the final battle, as it's called, all-out war now. So this is the part of the book where you are constantly, as you're going through these pages, it's just battle after battle nonstop. Amazos here, Aquaman and Wonder Woman with Black Canaries on this part. Nightwing is fighting this person. Superman's fighting this person. Martian Manhunter's fighting this person. Just everywhere fighting. Everywhere. Hal Jordan, earlier on in issue 3, was like, hey, I'm going to go and he got his ring back, and he was able to,
he hadn't had his ring, right?
Yeah.
Since he gave up his ring. If you remember, even in the Green Lantern run, he talked about giving up his ring, right? Because they have she set up this thing like the Allied Nation of Planets, right? She cut off the Earth. No one could leave Earth, so she bottlenecked the superheroes so they couldn't leave. She cut off like multiverse transportation, so they could teleport on Earth if they stayed on Earth, but if they tried to go anywhere else, they couldn't. So stuff like that, and it was very bizarre how like she just did that, and she basically toppled all the governments because they showed this thing like the Chinese government was all pissed off that she was doing this, and they were like, oh, Amanda Waller, we don't agree with you. And Failsafe just comes in. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, you're not in power anymore.
Because what was really interesting was with Green Arrow, you could kind of tell that he wasn't really going to betray the heroes. Was that she said, what happened to their weapons? Because they were supposed to initially just kill them all initially up front with their weapons, because they have the Justice League weapons from seizing them from the Force of Solitude earlier on. All the weapons
they got them from the Hall of Justice.
Oh, you're right. My bad. Yes,
they took over. Yeah, they took over
the government.
Yeah, they called it the Hall of Government or something. They took over the Hall of Justice before Absolute Power, and they had all these weapons, kind of like the Fortress of Solitude. Superman has all these weapons from different worlds. So does the Justice League. They had confiscated tons of weapons, but they had Amanda Waller had sent Oliver Queen down there to catalog them because he was one of the only people that knew what these weapons did. So he was tampering with them.
Yep. And you can tell at this part of the story, she's losing her control even more. And like I said before, there's just an all-out battle. Green Lantern goes to help Flash because Flash knows that if he can get these codes into this computer, he can close the multiverse portal. But if he closes this, it's closed for good. You know,
so they won't have access to the multiverse.
More Amazos start leaking out, actually start coming because she has a lot of them now. And Batman and John end up finally confronting Amanda Waller. Failsafe, gets control of Nightwing, and Amanda Waller has kryptonite against John Kent. Then as the situation gets actually good God, as the situation gets even more worse, Jay Garrick and Red Tornado end up helping Hal with his willpower hold down the barrier so Barry can fully seal that multiverse portal. And then you have Oliver. He ends up taking out a few of the Mazos right there. And then Amanda Waller says, all I ever wanted was to bring justice to an unjust world. Lady is just fucking insane, as you know. And it's going to be really weird with Justice League Unlimited. Before I even start reviewing that, I start doing comic book reviews on it. How is Oliver going to build up his trust from basically kind of sort of betraying them, but not really? It's such a weird thing, right? So later on, the Justice League end up mostly overpowering all of the Amazos. Their powers start coming back, actually.
Well, see, what happens is, so if you remember, they set up that the Amazos would not be able to, even if you killed them, the power wouldn't come back.
Yeah.
So Batman had figured out that they were using the dude with the hourglass. They were using him to correct the damage that would happen. Like if they got hit, the hourglass would work, boom, and it would go back there. Well, he figured, what if I set the hourglasses back to before they absorbed the power? So when we destroyed them, the powers would disperse and go back to the right people. So he grabbed this thing, made it. When Batman got grabbed up by the neck, that's when Oliver grabbed it and shot it into the back of the Amazos.
Yeah.
So that's where the powers started coming back to people. But they didn't go back. All the powers did not go to the right people. Some people got different powers now. So it's like completely messed up.
And then Oliver does the other final twist with him where he reveals that he had to earn Amanda Waller's trust, not with all her mind readers and psychics. I had to genuinely believe in her cause. So
that's why he had Martian Manhunter put that inside of his mind that he would actually believe her. So when the psychics did that,
analyzed him,
that they would be like, oh no, he does believe in this. He's on our side.
And then Batman says, you could have shared that with us, but I had not counted on being captured immediately, but you lecturing us about keeping secret plans is highly ironic. I was like, that's a pretty nice burn there. Even though Marsh Manhunter had really no story in the book, that one burn right there, it's a little throwback to a Tower of Babel, actually. It's a nice little
and it's like, dude, well, if they would have captured him at any point, right? Like they would have known, like the less people that know, the better. If like that's one thing I can't stand about them sometimes. Like the fact that they were all pissed at Batman, right? The only non-powered at the time of Tower of Babel, the only non-powered one of them, like what do you think he's gonna do? Like you guys get taken over every other month. Every other month, there's like a Superman that gets taken over or this. What's he supposed to do if you literally go crazy and rogue? He's got to have some sort of plan. What if he tells you about the plan? You're going to know about it.
The thing is, literally, Superman himself could just rule Earth if he wanted to. He didn't even need the other ones. Martian Manhunter or Wonder Woman would just be added bonuses. Superman himself could basically kill everyone if he really wanted to in like a 2-day period,
Yes.
So
yes,
I understand why he has the plan. It makes perfect sense if you're like literally not an idiot. So back when Nightwing and John Kent were battling Amanda Waller, because Failsafe was trying to hold down Amanda Waller, and the Kryptonite was to use her against John Kent to go after her. Dreamer comes back. Dreamer's back. She punches Amanda Waller. We have the Oliver. We have the Green Arrow and Batman and Martian Manhunter interaction. Their powers are starting to come back, so they're now able to overwhelm the Amazos. And then Amanda Waller's scared that Dreamer is back now. Then
Flash, how she got back though, that explanation was a little bit ridiculous. So she died. She died in that explosion.
Yeah,
but John Kent was thinking about her so much that she was able to go into his dream and heal herself.
That's just an ass pull. If that's not an ass pull, that's a straight up ass pull. That is main character syndrome, if ever.
Like she was able to heal herself, but like, how did she constitute materialization? How did she become physical?
Oh God, that's
I don't know. You don't know.
Oh
They
God.
don't tell you, and they don't show you in any of the tie-ins. They don't
So
show or tell you. So it's like,
in
okay,
the
thanks.
Flash part, at Flash's part, he closes the gate to the multiverse. Then Amanda Waller just fully rages out, saying basically this part of the book where she says, "So what? Your powers are back. What do you plan on doing with them?" And then she goes on this big giant tirade, and then Nightwing's final plan kicks in because the remember that character Wave,
Yeah,
his power
Airwave.
comes back, and the Airwave is utilized by Nightwing to send a Wi-Fi signal all around to everyone's phones and TVs to broadcast that Amanda Waller tricked everyone at the beginning part of the book to make superheroes out to be doing something that they weren't to trick them, you know?
Right. So like that's yeah. So like the whole time when she was feeding everybody fake news, so she basically went on a supervillain rant, right?
Yeah.
It was like, so what? You got your powers back. I've already destroyed the people's trust with you. They
Yeah.
now hate you. I did it. It was all me. I'm the one that set this up. And they're like, oh, by the way, this guy over here, Airwave,
Yeah.
he
He can actually
can he
he
just
can
broadcasted
yep.
this to every single screen, telephone, everything in the world. You're done.
Are you saying that
Over.
Amanda Waller had an angry black woman rant?
I mean, more like a Karen rant.
An angry black woman Karen. Isn't
She
that
needed
something?
she definitely needed to see the manager.
So Amanda Waller ends up going on that villain rant, as Labs just said. The whole world knows that they were duped, and then you get the 48 hours later. So they try rebuilding the Fortress of Solitude. Then the Flashes. So you have Jay Garrick, Wally, and Barry, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Where they're talking about the access to the multiverse is gone, and then Barry said, "Oh, so Barry goes, it won't be with my help. Somehow, when I destroyed the machine, it took my powers with it." And then another character says, "Not just yours, Barry," and then it just cuts. So it's probably just Jay Garrick's is cut off too from the multiverse.
I guess I think
I guess the Flash is retired. So
I don't know because Barry's still out there, like, you know, in the actual books. I haven't been reading The Flash, so I don't
Wally
know.
West is just their Flash now. It's just so crazy, man.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, here's the thing. I'm okay with Wally West. So
Yeah, I like Wally West too.
whenever I started reading comics personally,
Mhm.
they had just done Crisis on Infinite Earths. That was like one of the big events. I know I read it like probably a year after it came out, but I know it because I have the issues, but I was like 6. You know what I mean? Like, so, but I grew up with Wally West as my Flash. So I didn't really have a problem with Wally West as the Flash personally. So I know like some people, you know, they want Hal Jordan as their Green Lantern. The only other one that I could say that really worked as a comic book seller was Kyle Rayner. You know, where you have like Guy Gardner and John Stewart. I think John Stewart works better in a team setting,
Yeah, he
personally.
does. Yep. Mhm.
Like, because whenever you get to his backstory, I think it's very interesting from the team setting. You have like a military guy that had some really bad shit happen to him. It works better as that as opposed to a singular story that you're going to tell that narrative, because you've already had how many ex-military guy stories can you tell? You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Where with the Green Lantern and building constructs and stuff, it's kind of cool that they gave it to Kyle Rayner, who's an artist. So you think of an artist brain, he can come up with so many more cool things rather than just a giant boxing glove or a big baseball mitt, you know? So I thought I didn't have a problem if it was just going to be Wally West. Like, I didn't have as big a problem as other people might have.
No, I like Wally West. It's just like Barry does all that work to seal the multiverse portal so those Amazos don't come and just take over the world, and they just want to get rid of him as the Flash. I just find that so weird. My boy Barry Allen always losing his powers. Why?
I think it's just what direction did they want to go? Because they said, okay, we have this thing now, like DC, not just Mark Waid. DC's like, okay, all the powers got dispersed, but some people are now going to have new powers. Yeah. So like, where do we go from here as an initiative?
And before we get to the final part, we have Amanda Waller, Dreamer, that's right. I almost said Dream Catcher. Almost had the biggest L right there, and I never have L's.
It's okay.
Dreamer.
Get out of here. We all have L's.
I only have W's. That's just me personally. But
Just
Dreamer
wins.
finally gets her revenge on Amanda Waller. So she actually managed to get inside of Amanda Waller's mind and basically erase everything she knew about the heroes to the point where she's on the cusp of knowing who they are, but she doesn't know how to say their name. That was honestly,
Yeah,
I will
that was
give her.
awesome.
That was
That
awesome
was
the way she
awesome.
got her revenge against Amanda Waller. So I bet you'll be able to explain that more than me.
Well, so pretty much like through the books, like she had been basically Dreamer got like she was a big
Mhm.
focus in a lot of
Yeah.
the tie-in issues. So like Amanda Waller had been holding that over her head with her parents and her family the whole time and making her betray people that she loved, like making her uh super, John Kent's boyfriend, who she's very good friends with, and John Kent himself, betraying these people. So when she came in and basically didn't erase her memory, made it to the point where she can't finish remembering the thing that she remembers. So she's like, I know that Cyborg is Cyborg, but what's his real name? I can't remember. She knows that Batman is Batman, but
Basically pigeonholed her
what's
memory on the
right?
endpoints. Yeah. Yep.
Yes. So she
And what
can't make
and the
finish any
sweet
of her
icing on
memories.
the cake was that she pigeonholed her mind into thinking that there was a bomb in her head.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't remember, guys, you guys who watch the movies would know this, and it's a common thing in comics too. Suicide Squad people she can kill by blowing their heads up because they have a
She keeps them in line to not run away by
yeah,
having this bomb in the back of their head, and if
yeah.
they do, she'll explode. So
It's
she's
actually evolved in the comics from
yeah,
years. It's now a synthetic kind of thing.
synthetic and a
Yeah,
nanite now, and
yeah.
So
Mhm.
she's like, Dreamer's like, that might, you can't remember, but that might not be the only thing I did to your head. And she's like, did you put a bomb in my head?
Yeah.
Did you
Oh, yeah.
answer me? That was pretty good because
I'll
Amanda
say,
Waller
yeah.
she gets her comeuppance a lot, but not like this. I will give them
Yeah.
credit
As for someone
that
who's been two
they
steps ahead the entire time, it was nice to see her.
even in other comics where she
Yeah.
fails, it's always like she's still free, but like she's in Blackgate or she's
Yep.
and she's like, I'll be back. I'll
Yeah.
be back. Where this, she's in prison and she realizes it. The look on her face, like Dan Mora's art was
Mhm.
fantastic because the looks on her face, she's like, oh shit, I'm
Yeah.
fucked. I'm
It's
basically
crazy. A
fucked.
character that's been like generally two steps ahead, finally getting her due diligence or just
Yeah.
desserts, as
Her
they say.
yeah. Yeah.
Dreamer finally nailed taking down Amanda Waller in the most not just a power way. What was cool about it was that it was in a mind tactician way. Yeah.
Totally messed her mind, which she's been doing to people for how long?
Yeah, speaking of someone who's been controlling a lot of people's minds, that was great. I will give him that. And then going to the main thing that you brought up earlier before that big reveal was the Justice League. Oh, sorry, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman having that meeting because Batman had said, "Hey, earlier we're gonna have to have a meeting." They meet with Green Arrow. And Green Arrow basically is like, hey, I'm feeling like I'm going to give a lecture. And Superman's like, you better not lecture me right now. You better not even say any words that bother me, or I might actually throw you into the sea so you can drown, human. Not joking, he didn't really say that, but they're still kind of a little mad at him, kind of being with
They're
Amanda
pissed
Waller
at
for a
him.
little bit. Yeah.
They're pissed at him. And
So,
he's based, yeah, good. No, go
no,
ahead.
it's fine. So it's basically the thing that you said. Superman basically mentioned several heroes were badly injured but are recovering, including Animal Man. So he did live, but it's weird. He is like he's on his he has an hour to live. He's on life support. It's kind of that meme.
Yeah.
Oh god.
And then he's good. He was 1 day away from retirement.
Batman says when the superpowers were released, because as you guys know, they beat the Amazons and all the superpowers were released, they didn't actually go back to the original users. They actually were dispersed in many other characters. Some might be superheroes, now that were never superheroes.
And
So
there's people that they don't they don't
not
know. And they're like, we
all of
have to
them
find them quick.
not all of them returned to their original host. Some have swapped, others went God knows where, and their new owners need to be found fast. So Black Canary has heat vision, right? That's Black Canary. She has heat vision. And Elongated Man can now phase through stuff. That's just so okay, we're just taking all different directions now with books. And then
dude.
Wonder Woman's like, I will just to me that shit that I said that Superman said that was joking about. No, Wonder Woman actually said that, but she said she'll just break your arms. You know?
Yeah, she will too. She don't care. I feel like Wonder Woman would be such a better character if she wasn't held back by the Justice League, because like she's done some really great stuff, dude. Like Infinite Crisis Wonder Woman was fantastic. She was awesome.
Then Oliver starts talking about that. Hey, he tampered with the Star Gizmo's plan and everything. He was the one that kind of were essentially working behind the scenes. But he also said, hey, you know, maybe if we were like in constant communication with each other, it wouldn't have been like as a big reveal, because it doesn't look like he wanted to really betray them. It was more like, hey, I have to betray you in order to later on save you later on.
Yeah.
You know, Wonder Woman was like, sabotage, you blindsided us. So it's going to be a little while before he's back in their good graces, which is weird because he saved the day. But then again, you know, when you're in that bad of a situation like they were, it's like a lot of emotions. You don't really know what's going on.
This is what I hate. Here's the thing. Wonder Woman would have did the same fucking thing. She would have done the same thing. So would have Batman. He would have done the same thing.
Batman for sure would have done the same thing. It's not even a question. Yeah.
The only one I question would be Superman.
I don't think he could do it. I don't think he would be willing to do it.
That's yeah. And that's where they kind of like he tells him like
he even respected the Titans. He said he respects the Titans, but hey,
they're not us.
The world needs the Justice League. And then you get the last part of the book where Batman's like, you know, we'd like to show you something. And you have the Watchtower right there in the new image. And then you have the ending of the book where follow the next chapter of the world's greatest superheroes in DC All-In Special and Justice League Unlimited. Then toward the end of the book, it's just a bunch of variant covers, which honestly look really, really good. I mean, it's Dan Mora's art and a lot of other people's art looks fantastic, honestly.
Yeah. And I think that it did a very good job of right at the end explaining that setup for if they don't have access to the multiverse, that makes the DC All-In Special #1 that much crazier because of what happens with Darkseid. That makes it to where you're like, okay, now there's some stakes on the table here. What the fuck is going to happen? And I thought that made that was actually good that they did it that way, because they could have just had it a throwaway line and that it just happened, kind of like how Batman just showed up with the mother box. But they did show Barry, you know, have to try to shut it down and then say, hey, if we do this, we're not going to have access to the multiverse.
Yeah. Do you know there's another character in the book that didn't really get a lot of time to shine, even though Mark Waid wrote on that character? So people don't know, after Mark Waid ended up getting back in DC's good graces to come back and write for them, he was first given Shazam before World's Finest, or World's Finest first. At some point, he got World's Finest and Shazam. He was the writer on the new Shazam run for Dawn of DC. There was no, I mean, the Shazam and Miss Marvel or Mary Marvel.
They had one panel of Shazam, and it was just me and someone else going, me and Captain Marvel were here fighting this when this happened.
It was like May and Billy were just only in like a panel and a half. It's like, why isn't Shazam getting a lot more love here? Like that was my big problem just with overall. It's just there was a lot of really great characters that DC has for this big event getting no shine at all.
So and I can
it's hard
understand
to,
that
because it's a massive event. I get it.
And I could understand that. That's why I said, like, kind of when we were talking about the Marvel, if they need a reboot, and I said no, they need to do a giant event, but that would have to take like if DC All In or Dawn of DC would have done it right. Yeah, all the stuff leading up to Absolute Power would have happened in every single book. Shazams, Booster Golds, all of this. So if they showed them even just for a panel, at least you knew from all the other stuff that happened, they were a part of the story. Yeah, and of course, it's always going to be told through the Trinity. It's always going to be that. But that's kind of where I'm hoping where they lead with the Absolute universe, because it's going to have to conflict with Earth 1. It's going to have to. You know, they're going to have some sort of conflict against each other. That's where I hope that a lot of this stuff from the Justice League Unlimited, when they finally get into the fallout of what happened with Darkseid, I hope it involves a lot of the people that are in the Justice League Unlimited, because it makes it less special whenever it's only these 4 characters or 5 characters.
Oh, okay.
You have
Yeah.
a bunch of them in the background saying, okay, yeah, we'll do this. But if they're not involved, you know,
It makes it feel like they're when they do finally have a moment and then they don't even get any like fucking time to shine. It's like, why are they
it's like,
here?
well,
Like,
why did they do that? Right.
Because so what I'm assuming, because I would have to, because now since we're pretty much done with Absolute Power, we can go into All In and later on Justice League Unlimited, all that good stuff. It's one of those things where, is it Justice League Unlimited as far as like anyone can be a hero? Like basically anyone could just go up there and just be a superhero for the Justice League or just be a part of it?
So
that kind of take away the specialness of it, kind of, you know?
So I think what's going to happen, this is just my opinion. So they give out these cards to specific people, and they're card carrying Justice League members, right? And they're these special cards that gives them access to the Watchtower, that gives them a stipend, that gives them blah, blah, all this stuff, right? I'm wondering if there's going to be tiered levels to it at some point, kind of like with the X-Men where they had the Gold Strike Force, the Blue Strike Force. I don't know if there is, but there gotta be, man, because I do not want to read a Justice League book like it was in the early 90s, where it's fucking like these characters that I do not give a shit about, period. Like, and you're on the Justice League. Like when Grant Morrison came in, right, and refined the Justice League, he was literally like saying, like, you know, why does the Justice League suck? Like, who the fuck are these people? Where's Batman? Where's Superman? Where's Green Lantern? Where's, you know, why is this person on the Justice League? Why, you know, like, this is stupid. Like, there needs to be that main team, right? And I understand why they're making it the Unlimited, kind of like the cartoon. I get why they're doing that. But if they don't show them being important, then it's still not going to matter, because I'm not going to give a shit about the freaking, you know, the Blue Beetle episode.
Also,
like, I'm not going to care.
Before I read Justice League Unlimited, it feels like most of the DC heroes from here are going to be a part of it. Like Blue Beetle, Booster Gold, Black Lightning, apparently. I know Black Lightning will be there. Oh, fucking hell. They love their black people in this Justice League, right? Got to have the 2 token black people, Black Lightning and Mr. Terrific. Mr. Terrific, pretty cool character. I like that guy.
I like Mr. Terrific. I do. I've read, but I liked Jeff Johns' Justice Society. I thought it was great. So I like Mr. Terrific.
So the other thing I will say about the DC Absolute Power hardcover, or just the event as overall, I mean, the pacing was rather really fast. There were moments that I think needed to be like settled down, and then there were moments that needed to be accelerated. You know, you had like certain characters talking to each other that needed to be sped up, but then some of the character interactions could have been kind of just more fluid with each other. It felt like when it came to like the DC hero interaction, that was kind of sped up, whereas with the villains, it was, you had to have them have this big, giant dialogue tirade. So I'll ask you, man, what are your closing thoughts on the Absolute Power hardcover from DC Comics?
I think the event itself is fine. I think it's fun. It should have, if not included a lot of the main tie-ins that were special, or just the pages that it needed to show from the tie-in. And they could have done like meanwhile and then showed like 4 or 5 pages from this tie-in, or giving context from this tie-in, you know, stuff like that. But overall, as a setup, I thought it was way better paced than the Marvel Hickman one. I think that it was just better paced, but I still think the Ultimate Invasion, the payoffs were better. When you read Ultimate Spider-Man and you read, you know, the other things, I think that they were better, but we'll see whenever we read, you know, the one shot. So the all-in special, we'll see what you think. Because I've already like read all that stuff and I know that stuff. I don't want to give any spoilers or any, you know, because my mind.
I'll dock your pay.
All right. Shit. My mind already has those books ingrained to where that's forming my opinion already. I say this: I like the Absolute Universe better than the Ultimate Universe, but I'm also a DC guy. but I thought that the Ultimate Universe was set up better.
So for me, my final thoughts on the DC Comics' Absolute Power hardcover. It came out during the week where I was like, you know what? Because without this, guys, we can't get to all the good stuff because we have to get through this hurdle to get into the all-in special, the Absolute Universe, Just Like Unlimited title, even Aquaman now written by Jeremy Adams. That's on the table now that I've already gotten. I'll say this, as far as pacing goes, it's always up and down. There's good pacing throughout, but then there's bad pacing. I will say that I would have preferred, like I said many times throughout the review, I would prefer if other prominent characters got a chance to shine in the book, like Shazam, the freaking hell, his adopted sister that's always beside him sometimes.
Mary Marvel.
Yeah, Mary Marvel, Martian Manhunter could have had some better shine there. I felt like Mr. Terrific could have had some more shine there. You know, Jay Garrick, a lot of these other prominent DC characters felt like this is going to be your big event. You really want to showcase how awesome they were, you know? But I will say Amanda Waller was a great villain. Her plan was great. I liked the Brainiac Queen. I liked Failsafe. I liked the Brainiac Queen more than Failsafe. Failsafe just felt like kind of a... I felt like the impact of Failsafe fell off as the book went on, whereas the Brainiac Queen impact felt much more stronger.
Yes, I think the Failsafe, you would have had to have read all the Batman issues for it to realize the threat that he did pose, because he basically wrecked Batman and a lot of people through that run of Batman. He did. He wrecked a ton of people and basically broke Batman's mind for a while. So
the Green Arrow twist was... It's so weird. You kind of feel like it's a cop-out when you're reading it, but it is kind of set up where you're like, they made me actually think, did he really betray the Justice League? Because I don't think Oliver would ever do that. But then, you know, as you read it is revealed that it was kind of planned, but it does create meaningful tension and stakes with the Justice League going, or the DC heroes
going forward. Yes.
With the Justice League. Yeah. Yes. So overall, you know, the Mark Waid's writing, you know, he's a lunatic, fucking weirdo, but his writing, he's a very talented writer. I will say he is very talented. He's shown us how to tell a story. It's weird because I feel like the writing was good in areas, mostly throughout, but then kind of underwhelming in areas. It wasn't like it was bad, it was just underwhelming. Given the fact that it was such a massive event, you just kind of hamstrung him.
The build-up took way longer than the payoffs.
Yeah, that's
the payoffs seemed to happen real quick and out of nowhere. The end tied up very nicely and set
the
up
end
very
is great.
Nicely.
Yeah.
But the fight to the end seemed to happen kind of out of nowhere. As much as they were beaten down,
it kind of feels like they bounced back so quickly from getting beaten down that it didn't feel like when they got beaten down it really mattered. Like even in the final part of the book, even though it was great, the action was going so fast. All these characters were fighting,
and they did the whole 48 hours later. It's like, dude, why don't you just tell us what? Like why?
That's why this will forever be DC Comics' Michael Bay. It's just literally a Michael Bay movie in a book.
I'll give you that.
All down for that. It is a wild ride. To be fair, it's gonna be. I'll tip it right now as we're reading this. People say I'm more of a DC fan. To be fair, I probably am. I will say this: I don't typically go back and read comic books, not because I don't want to, it's because I don't have any time, guys. When I read something, I want to really dive into it. This was really fun. I wasn't bored reading this. I was legitimately bored a lot of the time reading Ultimate Invasion. I'm trying to compare them, you know. But I think this leads into a Ultimate Universe or the Absolute Universe. Ultimate Invasion led into the Ultimate Universe of Marvel. I was never actually bored reading this. What's Ultimate Invasion? I didn't care for any of the characters that Jonathan Hickman set up in it. I thought they were mostly just throwaway plastic characters that you just had no care for, honestly. But he had the payoff set up with the book to get to Ultimate Invasion #1, Ultimate Spider-Man, obviously. We'll see the payoff when we review the DC All-In #1 special. And then after that, sky's the limit. Absolute Universe, Just Like Unlimited, Aquaman. Man, just a bunch of goodness after that.
So I did see your show where you liked Ultimate Spider-Man.
You know,
and I told you
it was fake news. Actually, I don't know who that MSK guy is. He's not rich. He's a virgin. He's a loser. He lives at home with his freaking dad.
I told you, like, not all Hickman is set up, but whenever he makes those long setups, right? Those books that you read afterwards, where shit happens, you're like, that's freaking awesome.
Yeah. Dan Mora. Art,
amazing art, incredible.
Best artist in the comic book industry right now. And yeah,
I don't know. I like Jason Fabok, man. That dude's artist.
God damn it, man. Oh, hey, always
Fabok's
Rob
pretty.
Liefeld drawing feet. Just
Oh my god, dude. His Captain America, that chest that he like, I don't even know. It was like Captain America was like hiding a box in his suit. It was like I don't even understand what the hell that was.
well,
Liefeld's art is weird.
thank you guys for checking out this video. If you guys are returning viewers or new viewers, then please consider subscribing to the channel if you have not already. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it and comment down below. Also, make sure you guys hit the notification bell. That way you guys can get notified on whenever I upload a brand new video. I'm MSK, aka Master Swag King. We're going to sign out, guys. See you guys later. Peace.